Indian corporate governance domain. Today we have Mr. Ambi Parameswaran with us to share his journey. And before we start, let me thank all of you for the overwhelming response to the Iconic Women Directors Awards. I must say, there are so many nominations came from peers, not by the women themselves. And that shows the inclusive and supportive change which is happening at the leadership level. Further, Women Directors Conclave 2023, which is happening on 15th of December 2023 at Bombay Stock Exchange International Convention Hall. I'm sure you all have registered. It's open for men and women, board leaders and board aspirants. Do register. This event is being graced by our Union Cabinet Minister Srimati Smriti Irani ji and is available in hybrid mode from any part of India. You can be part of this conclave, so don't miss it out. Exciting panel discussions, interactions, brainstorming sessions await you there. Now, welcome to this 59th Boardroom Talk and 14th in this season with Mr. Ambi Parameswaran, who has rich industry experience. I mean, when I was going through your profile, sir, it's such an extensive profile. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and being here with us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Yeah.
Welcome, sir. So I briefly will introduce Mr. Parameswaran here, and then during our interactions, I'll speak more about his various initiatives, his journey. So Mr. Ambi is the brand consultant coach, and he's founder of brandbuildings.com, which is a brand advisory company. He's a podcaster, award-winning, best-selling author. He has 40 years plus experience into the corporate world with lot of MNCs, lot of big corporates in India. He spent 25 plus years with FCB Ulka, building it into one of the top 5 agencies in India. He's worked extensively with a lot of groups like Tata Group, Wipro, Z, TCS, Thermex, Tata Indica, and I think the Amul, the list is long. He has served as president of Ad Club Mumbai and Advertising Agencies Association of India. He's a brand coach, worked with a lot of companies as a coach, which includes Tata Motors, Nippon Paint, Sun Pharma. Now he has served on a lot of boards as, he has been serving on boards as independent director. He has been on the board of governors of IIM Calcutta from 2007 to 2017. With such a extensive experience, I'm sure we will have lots of golden nuggets from him coming today. He now reads, writes, teaches, coaches, and I must say, I mean, after writing 11 books, I'm sure he might be on a continuous exploration journey, further writing a lot of other books also for all of us. Now, before we start our deep interactions, let me tell our audience, don't forget to share, like, comment, and ask your questions for Mr. Ambi. And also welcome to all the viewers who are listening to us, who will be listening to us over a period. This kind of recording, this session goes live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and even Twitter pages of MentorMyBoard. So welcome, Mr. Ambi, to this interactive board talk series with you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Divya, for inviting me on to this forum of Boardroom Talk. Let me just caution, I've done many things in my life, and I should admit that I am not quote unquote a boardroom expert. Boardroom experts in India are normally chartered accountants or lawyers, right? So I'm neither a chartered accountant nor a lawyer, right? So I'm not a boardroom expert, but I've served as an independent director on some good companies, both listed and unlisted, and I have some learnings which I can share. Plus, during my career, I've been witness to a lot of changes in a lot of companies, and I also am aware to some extent board and independent directors' role in some of the changes which have happened in some of my client organizations. So all that hopefully be of interest to your viewers and listeners. So thank you for having me here, and let's get the show on the road.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, sir, my first question comes is, you have served on, you have been serving on various boards as independent director, And now, what is that, one challenge, you have faced in ensuring the effective governance, driving positive change within these organizations in your role as a brand strategist? Because what I, strongly always believe is that uh, independent directors don't only bring the governance, they, or a tick box compliance. What they bring is their different perspectives, their knowledge, uh, and their expertise to the boardroom. So can you speak about that, if you have that experience?
Okay, so the question is, what is the role of an independent director? Right? Somehow, very often we look at independent directors' only role is in making sure that the company doesn't do anything wrong, or company is ending up hiding things from the minority investor. So the myth is the independent directors are there only to represent the minority investors, to protect them from the greedy promoter directors who would be taking away the money, and
Yeah,
which is a shame, because I think governance is one side, but also strategic inputs is the other side. So if the entire board's independent director's job is defined as playing the policeman from any mistake from happening, then you're kind of losing the opportunity. And let's be clear, if a company wants to do some jiggery pokery, it is very easy to hide, right? It is very easy to hide for the independent. I mean, the board meetings happen probably 4 times a year, maybe 1 or 2 times. You may have what is called an AOP review, and you're going to send up a whole bunch of papers. I don't think independent directors can really spot if there are serious governance issues in the company. I mean, we know what happened in the
correct.
case of, say, Satyam, right? I mean, they had a phenomenal set of independent directors, but things were hidden. So if a promoter wants to cheat, uh, he can cheat, or he or she can cheat. The independent director will never find out. So certain level of what is hidden under the surface, the independent directors never find out. Okay, that's given. Having said that, therefore, if a company is running well, okay, that the promoters are not siphoning out money, etc., then the independent directors can play 2 or 3 different roles. One is to make sure that yes, you're running a good company, but you're making these mistakes. You need to file this better. You need to report this in a different way. You need to show
Yeah,
this in your balance sheet. You need to show this, in your annual report. You need to say this out, right? That is one classical governance. Classical governance. You need to declare certain things. That you should not end up hiding anything. Though you may be hiding it for perfectly legal reasons. There may be nothing wrong in hiding it, but for for form's sake, you should reveal it. So that's one role. I've seen a lot of in companies where there are very experienced chartered accountants on the board. Uh, they point this out. They point it out. Look, you should not report it like this, or you don't. Sometimes what happens, even companies say, look, let us report our breakup, across different verticals. And the chartered accountant says, look, it's not required, because please remember that your annual report is going to be read by the competitors. So if you reveal all this,
correct.
product-wise profitability, you're going to, throw it open to your competition to come in and, play havoc in the market. So don't. So that's one thing, very clearly saying, look, you have to do this, but be careful. Don't reveal too much, or you have to reveal this. That's one level of governance, which I've seen very experienced chartered accountants on the board point out, saying this is a mistake you're making, this is a mistake you're not making. The next is the way the company actually genuinely wants input from the independent directors and the board. See, we are planning to do
Right.
this, right? What do you guys think, right? So that's where I think I enjoy the most, when you go and sit and look at a plan, and the plan, and the independent directors are encouraged to ask questions, and in fact
Correct.
poke holes in the plan, and then and the promoters and the management of the company says, look, very often it is promoter manager or a manager promoter. They say, look, okay, we understand there's an issue. We will come back to you, next board meeting with a better analysis of this, right? So
Correct.
so there are, if you look at what is the role of an independent director, in a very simplistic term, independent director is supposed to protect the interests of the minority shareholders. But that's a little too narrow, right? Independent
I
directors can
agree.
play a better role, and in good companies, independent director plays a role of one governance, other is a strategy sounding board, maybe even giving inputs into the company, saying, "Look, are you
Yeah,
looking at it this way?" Right? So
correct.
many roles independent directors can play, because the independent director by definition brings in should bring in, I'm not saying all of them do, should bring in a lot of experience from around, whereas the company may be focused on, let us say, pharmaceuticals, the company may be focused on, let us say, making ball bearings, but the independent director may bring in experience from automobiles, maybe bringing experience from pharmaceuticals, maybe bringing experience from
Correct.
chemicals, we bring experience from somewhere else, which will be of great value.
True, true. Absolutely, absolutely. So, during our conversation now, I also kind of, want to ask you a question, especially about the reputation management, because you're talking of, your experience and expertise is into branding and marketing. When we're talking of a branding and when we're talking of a corporate reputation, what has been role the board plays, or if you can have some insights on, or some real learnings from your experience, that how that can be very well managed by the corporates, or some insights and some expert guidance to the corporates, because a lot of promoters are also members of Mentor My Board. They also go through a lot of these kind of talks. And as promoter, what would be your advice to them when it comes to maintaining your brand value? uh, so if some insights on that.
Okay, so I think this is what I kind of do, because I do talks, I do brand coaching sessions where I try and
Yeah.
whenever I deal with these entrepreneur organizations, smaller companies, the point is to say, what is your brand? How do you define your brand,
Yeah.
and do you even understand how your brand is being perceived today, right? So we are uh, very often we say, uh, a small company may not even be able to define what is their brand. So I keep telling them,
Yeah.
look, oh, you may call your company whatever, but brand is what your customer is referring to you at. So you
Correct.
may call your company, Divya Momaya, Mentor My Board Private Limited, but the if the if your consumer is calling you, Mentor My Board, that is your brand name. That is what you need to do,
Correct.
and you need to build, and you need to be aware that whatever you do finally impacts the brand name, right? Impacts the brand, especially
Absolutely.
if you're a
Hmm.
B2B company. I mean, just to talk of something relatively recent which happened, right? Which is happening in currently happening. The Raymond family,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
thing is happening, and I'm told the independent directors are now going to look into it and bring in an outside consultant to help them, which I think is great. I think that's what they should do. But I was
Correct.
asked by a publication, look, is it going to affect the Raymond brand, right? Now, my short answer was it doesn't, right? Because Raymond is a B2C company, not a B2B company,
Hmm.
right? Because the B2C company, the consumer is buying Raymond because Raymond makes a particular promise of quality and value. That if I buy this Raymond shirt, Raymond trouser, it will be like this, it will last this kind of thing, it will cost so much. So they know that, right? Uh, Whether the MD is today Gautam and tomorrow it is Buddha, it doesn't matter to the consumer who goes into the several 100,000 shops where Raymond is sold. But
Correct.
invariably, where the problem starts is the boardroom problems then can translate into bad managerial decisions. Like,
Hmm.
because the company is going through all this problem, they may say, let us not invest in new product development, or let us not invest in that new equipment, or let us postpone the launch of these five products. Then that will affect the brand, right? Then it will start affecting the brand. But if the
Correct.
boardroom drama is kept away from the actual company performance, then
Hmm.
it's easy to say this. In reality, it is very difficult. But if you do that, then I think the B2C brand is protected. In the case of B2B brand, it is a lot more difficult. Uh,
Hmm.
B2B brands uh, are, are difficult to build, but easily destroyed. right? Look at the way Arthur Anderson disappeared, right? So uh, you have to be more conscious about this if you're a B2B brand. That whatever
Hmm. Hmm.
happens on the board may have a direct implication in your brand's reputation. So I do a session which I call living the brand, which is very
Okay.
simple to say. Look, which is too simple to say. Look, you have 1,000 people working in your company, right?
Right.
Can all of them say what is your brand, right?
Hmm.
Are all of them living the brand? So that is the first step. Internally, you need to start believing what is your brand, and then you can then project it
Correct.
outside. This is all the more important in a service organization where everyone working in the
Absolutely.
company should know what is the brand, right? So branding is
Absolutely.
extremely important. Very often we think that uh, branding is not something to be discussed in the boardroom, but I think it's a
Yeah.
topic which should be discussed in the boardroom.
Absolutely, absolutely. Wonderful, wonderful insight, sir. Now, you also have been kind of mentoring a lot of startups. So, while working with the startups, uh, uh, how do you advise them to incorporate the branding and the strategies at the early stages of their businesses, and also I mean, today we are seeing a lot of governance issues in a lot of startups, whether it is Byju's, Bharat Pay, and so many kind of companies. So what those companies are just the tip of the iceberg. A lot of startups usually have been struggling to survive. So do you kind of can you share some thoughts on your advice to some startups, because we kind of have a very mixed kind of audience. So any views on that?
Uh, but I think compared to let's say a traditional small company, a
Hmm.
startup is a lot more savvy about branding, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if it is B2B, B2C, they understand there is something like a brand, and they invest very quickly on creating a brand identity and a brand tagline and a stuff like that, right? They do that. I think startups do it a lot quicker than traditional, small companies. But the problem
Mm.
with startup is they want their brand to be built overnight. That doesn't happen, right? So one has to caution them, look, boss, it's not going to happen in 1 month or 2 months or 1 year. It will take time. So you have to have the patience to
Mm.
build this. But I tell them, look, I always say this, go back to who is your customer. Okay. Who is
Mm.
your customer? What are you offering to them? And why should they buy you? And what is it that you offer which your competitors may not be offering, right? If you
Your
understand
UA.
that, yeah, all your, we call it POP and POD, point of parity and point of difference. So you understand what is the point of parity, what is the point of difference, and then you focus on that and stay with that. Don't keep changing
Mhm.
a message every 3 months or every 2 months. Don't change it. Stay with it and monitor it. Monitor this, what is happening. So I have a what is called a 5 stage brand building pentagon model, which I wrote about in a book, and it'll again come out next year, another book, which is brand appraisal, which is where is the opportunity for making a brand. So that is brand appraisal, then brand definition. How do I define my brand? What is my positioning statement? Third is brand articulation, which is what will be my logo, what will be my identity, what will be my baseline. And the fourth is brand measurement. How am I doing? What is my awareness? What is my trial? And finally, what is brand expansion? What else can I do with my brand? So if you follow this
Mm.
5 step process in a systematic way, you it's not that every brand will succeed, but your chance of success will be higher. That's my thesis.
Wow. I think this is very, very interesting insights, and I'm sure a lot of startups will take this piece of advice. Very, very important advice. As to brands, don't build over immediately. It takes time to build a brand. And when I really look at even my journey, I mean, we are also a startup. After my 15 years of career, I started my startup, which is Mentor My Board, and I have been kind of consistently working on this entire journey for last 5 years. 3 years, we were very aggressive. Before that 2 years, it was just the idea, conceptualization, and believing in self that yes, this can be a need in the market. And then I think today when we had finance minister on our platform, we have now Smriti ji coming to our conclave. That is kind of showing that yes, there is a need of this kind of interactions, initiatives for the boardrooms. So I completely agree
Absolutely,
with you. And
absolutely. I think, what you're saying is that absolutely there is, I keep saying this, there are so many experienced people who, for whatever reason, are getting out of corporate life, right? They are all available, who
yeah,
can be tapped. Now, it's a waste of opportunity if a company doesn't create a good board with a set of very good independent directors. And mind you, you're paying them very little for the kind of knowledge and the kind of experience
yeah,
they bring to the board. You're paying them peanuts, right? But you're getting such valuable inputs. uh, and the problem is
yeah,
promoters say, look, I don't know this person. How will I put him on my board, right? On the flip side is this person is saying, look, yeah, I'm 58 years old. I'm, playing golf. I'm relaxing. Why should I get onto a board and,
exactly,
take all this headache, right? I know God knows what this company is doing behind my back, right? So I don't want to
correct.
get into any trouble. And there is also this huge issue of draconian laws in our country that, if something happens to the company, the independent directors can actually be hauled up before court. So independent directors also saying, look, yeah, I don't want to do this. I don't want to get into this. And the promoter is saying, look, I need to put some independent directors. I'll call my chartered accountant. He'll call his friend. I'll put two people, and I've done my bit. Yeah, you can do your bit, and that's fine. But then you are
Yeah,
not utilizing it. You're not utilizing the power of a good independent director, a good board. A good board,
absolutely.
if it has the right caliber people, can actually add a lot of value. And in some companies, the operating teams get energized when they come and present to the board and to the independent director, right? They say, look, you know, give us an opportunity to present to the board, and that's a call, right? And the board has a limited amount of time, so you can't meet everyone. So you say every quarter we will call one or two operating heads to come and present. So it gives them a feeling of, look, I'm talking to someone, uh, a bunch of independent directors who run companies,
Yes,
who are extremely knowledgeable, and just being in front of them, talking to them, is very energizing for some of the young managers in the company. So
absolutely,
I,
absolutely.
so we have
Then,
so many listed companies, so many listed companies, Divya,
yeah,
so many listed companies, uh, and let's say probably at least 1,000 listed companies, I would say, are reasonably well run, right? They are reasonably well run. They may be going up and down. I'm forgetting about share market. They're reasonably well run, and the
yeah,
promoters are running it, or maybe the next generation running it, and they are okay, creating wealth for themselves. They're also providing employment to people, creating opportunities, building ecosystem, right? Now, I'm just wondering how many of them have are using independent directors the way they can be used, and how many of them are using independent directors only as rubber stamp. I need a lawyer, I need a chartered accountant, I need a woman, right? If it's a woman lawyer chartered accountant, मेरा three box tick हो गया, right? So if you look at it that way, you will get that. You will get a board which will come, have coffee, tea, say yes, 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 and they'll go away, right?
yeah.
But that's a wasted opportunity.
I absolutely agree with you, sir. In fact, this is the point even we are saying when we really talk of, the mid-sized businesses who are not mandatorily required to have independent directors on board, but still how they can create and form their advisory board, that sounding board for themselves. Because solopreneur, when the entrepreneur is working, that one brain is, kind of doing everything. So why not to have a sounding board with that person to help that person to kind of grow faster? I mean, in fact, I'll tell you, as Mentor My Board, I mean, when we created our first advisory board, I mean, we have some amazing people with us as advisory board members. And when we created our first advisory board, I could really see the complete game changing for us. The way they bring their vision, the way they bring their guidance, and also tell you that this is right, this is not right, what you should do, what you should not do. Because a lot of times the clarity of thought, as you mentioned, the point of clarity, or the point that is very, very important for any business, whether it's a startup, whether it's a mid-size, or even when the companies are at a mature stage, whether MNCs. That clarity is very, very important, which external people on your board can bring that outside in perspective. So very well said, sir. So now, we have around 5 or 7 minutes at the end. I would love to know your journey of writing books. Some learnings from your books, some of the best books. If you would like to speak on that, and anything which wherein branding, leadership, all these perspectives are coming together in your book. So some thoughts on your books basically. Would love to
Okay,
also
okay.
know
So
about forthcoming books. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so
Go
thank
ahead.
you. So I started writing, in fact, because I was teaching,
Hmm.
brand management at NMIMS in the year
Hmm.
'99, and when I looked around for Indian examples of Indian cases, I couldn't find very much. So that's when I started writing my own cases based on that time I was in FC Bulka. So I published a set of 14 cases, and I was fortunate that Tata McGraw-Hill decided to publish it as a book. So it came out in the year 2000. I then gave it around, and in fact, some of the clients like Tata Motors said, "Look, our case is not in this." So I said, "Look, boss, we just started handling your business in '98. So give me some time, I'll write the case." So in fact, we came
Hmm.
out to the second volume of that 5 years later, called the Draft of Siyulka Brand Building Advertising Cases and Concepts. I wrote it with my colleague Kinjal Med. So both these books are published by McGraw-Hill, Tata McGraw-Hill, and then I wrote a couple of more books. One was on building brand value, again published by Tata McGraw-Hill. I wrote something on understanding consumers, again published by Tata McGraw-Hill. So, and then I did a PhD. I did a PhD on religiosity and consumer behavior, and I wrote a book called For God's Sake, which is broadly based on my PhD thesis. And after that, I wrote probably my most popular book, Nawab Nudes and Noodles, which is India through 50 years of advertising. That came out in the year
Wow.
2016, and uh, and one of the talks, and then I wrote another book after that on Sponge, and a book called Sponge, which is leadership lessons I learned from my clients. Now that
Amazing.
contains a lot of stories from my own interactions with people like Mr. Ratan Tata, Mr. Damodaran, Sanjeev Aga of Thermax, and Varghese Kurian. A lot of those people, I put that together as what you can learn, what you can learn uh, from leaders, right? All interact with leaders, and what you can learn from leaders. I should correct. I think Captain Tapas Majumdar has asked me whether I am a professor at NMIMS. No, I was a visiting faculty at NMIMS. I'm currently an adjunct professor of marketing at SPJMR, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan,
Okay.
SPJMR in Andheri. So that's where I teach buyer behavior, consumer behavior, integrated marketing communication. So, and my latest book is called, it's there behind me, All the World's a Stage. It is a book on personal branding. Now, this I've written like a conversation among five friends. One of them,
Hmm.
Divya, is typical entrepreneur who's made it big, but who doesn't believe in branding, who doesn't believe in personal branding. He says, I've built my company from zero to 1,000 crores, and I've not done any branding, I've not done any personal branding. Why does it matter? So that is the whole conversation. Why, even for a B2B company, uh,
Hmm.
branding and personal branding matters. And and the book contains a lot of tips on how to build your personal brand, how to develop your presentation skills,
Yeah.
how to develop your communication skills, how to develop a presence, what we call executive presence. So it's got all that uh, in that book, and it's easy to read book. I think should not this is a book, and you should be able
Wow.
to go through this book in probably less than 3 hours. You should be able to read the book and also uh, analyze and understand how to apply personal branding
Hmm.
tools and techniques to uh, your work, right? And how it can help you. A lot of time people confuse
Absolutely.
personal branding with social media. Personal branding means posting on LinkedIn. It's not. I mean, that comes later,
Correct.
actually. Yeah.
So true. So true. Absolutely, and thank you, Mr. Raghavan, for writing such wonderful, your perspectives. Definitely, diverse boards help to avoid, the diverse from reality. Very, very interesting thought. Now, last question, Mr. Parmeshwaran, is that your thoughts on Mentor My Board, a key message to us, and the areas you feel we should focus on.
But I think there is a lot we can gain by inducting uh, people of diverse competencies onto the board. And I think uh, Mentor My Board can play a very useful role in especially advising what you said, the smaller companies, saying, look,
Yeah,
hold their hand to say, look, this is, first is to say, look, first is to probably offer a kind of a board analysis, saying, look, this is your kind of company, this is the kind of board you have. But if you want more input, you should build a board of this type, which you should have an independent director who can bring in this competency into your company, some independent director who can bring in maybe technical competency of your company, an independent director who can bring in branding competency into your company. And, people who can bring that, who can then add value to your board. Because let's be clear, having a board with three or four independent directors who you're paying them very little, but you have their attention and they can add a lot of value to your business. That's the message which I think Mentor My Board should take to the 1,000 plus, listed companies in India who want to do business with the right corporate governance. I mean, we have a lot of people who do business for different reasons. We are keeping them out. They know what they're doing, and we don't know what they're doing, which is fine.
right, right. So in fact, I would just kind of add on and exactly what you said about competencies, gap analysis. So we have a board suit program wherein we help the company starting from identifying the gap, creating a complete roadmap for them for future, a kind of mentoring to those existing directors, including promoters and founders, and then adding those kind of people with right competency. So we also have a competency assessment tool. So a lot of these things wherein we have started working, so we would really love to have deeper interactions with you over a period, and we would really have to happy to have you also as one of our esteemed mentor on the platform. We do a lot of initiatives like board mastery, uh, BTS, which is happening every month, so where we create the experiential mock board. We invite eminent personalities from diverse kind of experience and expertise from diverse industry. So would be happy to have you with us in this journey of transforming the boardrooms, basically, because once the leadership is transformed at the top, I'm sure the entire organization can look themselves from a very, very different perspective, and that's what I think we have been doing. So happy to have you with us today, sir, and very,
Thank
very
you.
valuable insight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very
And
much. Yeah, thank you.
yeah. So I think very, very interesting conversations with Mr. Ambi Parameswaran. And can I call you Dr. Ambi Parameswaran?
No, no,
Because you have
just call me
completed your
Ambi.
PhD.
Ambi is
I didn't know.
Ambi is fine. Don't
Okay.
add anything.
Okay, perfect. So, very, very valuable insights, and look forward to all of you next week with yet another personality from the Indian boardrooms, Indian leadership, who will be sharing their experience, expertise, and the real journey, how they have seen the governance evolving or the issues, and some golden nuggets from their side. Last but not the least, 15th December 2023, we are coming up with our Women Directors Conclave. So, in a year, we usually do two mega kind of programs. One is Independent Directors Summit, which we did last June this year with National Stock Exchange, and this Women Directors Conclave. This is the third conclave. We are doing it in association with Bombay Stock Exchange as venue partner, and Honorable Union and Cabinet Minister Srimati Smriti Irani ji is going to be gracing us, with her kind of insights and her golden nuggets. So don't miss out to be there. And last but not the least, it's open for men, women, everyone. So please do join, register, as seats in person are going to be very, very limited. So thank you, Mr. Ambi, for being here with us, sharing your experience, your life journey, and your perspectives to the boardroom. Look forward to see you, in some of our other events, and would be happy to have you with us, as mentor. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me,
Thank you, sir.
Divya. Thank you very much.